Welcome to On the Precipice, MUFON Contact Radio Program with your hosts, CJ Arabia and Richard Bansack, where discovery, disclosure, and evolvement meet. We are on the cusp of evolutionary realizations, technologies, and awareness. So come along and share in the adventure of discovery of who we really are and where we are going.
I feel like I'm in a UFO rave with Bill Skywatcher's music there.
Wow, that's kind of huge. Another wow day. What's up, CJ?
Happy Thanksgiving, everybody. It's Thanksgiving week.
Yeah.
So I brought my turkey. I have a collection of turkeys because I am a turkey collector for Thanksgiving. But, you know, my goodness, it's Thanksgiving. And boy, do we have a treat of a show for you guys today. And in the spirit of gratitude and Thanksgiving, I want to show a little gratitude to Bill Skywatcher, our producer. If you listen to KGRA, sometimes he's in the show, sometimes he's not. But it's Bill Skywatcher Forte, and he's amazing. And he goes live like every day on Facebook, on TikTok, all sorts of stuff. I just love him. He makes the greatest music. Bill, we're super grateful for you. I know you like to stay behind the scenes. You can say hi or not, but I just want to, for Thanksgiving, show some gratitude for all. Like, we could not do this show without Bill, and in the spirit of Thanksgiving, I think we got to show him a little bit of love. So thanks, Bill. And he's everywhere. You can find him on Facebook. And like, honestly, sometimes I'm just cooking dinner and listening to our producer play video games or play his music or talk to people. So thank you, Bill. We're grateful for you this Thanksgiving.
Bill, I just wanted to say, Bill has a passion for this subject, for the phenomenon, for what he believes. That's the one thing about Bill and all the people that are associated with this. They just have a passion and a belief, and they just want to contribute and be part of the whole thing that we're all.
There he is. There he is. There's my boy.
I got to get into the light a little bit because I got to show both of you something that just happened to me a couple of weeks ago.
Please do.
No, now I don't want to set anybody's Alexa off, but Alexa, turn on living room light.
I don't know. He's so sexy. I think he's single, ladies. I don't know. I've never heard him talk about anybody. Did you go?
Uh-huh.
Oh, those are all signs. Are those signs? Oh, dude.
Look at that.
Wait. We're not done.
Oh, look at that. There you go. Very nice.
That's amazing. That's amazing. My sister lives in Des Moines, and she's always sending me, they're going to be in Des Moines.
Yeah.
So when Rich brought that up as being passionate, absolutely. You guys seen the thing I caught above my house.
Absolutely, yes.
So yes, this is not a job. This is a passion. No. We all love this topic. I love MUFON. I speak to Dave McDonald from time to time. And for folks that are watching this, don't forget, you can now see this program on the MUFON YouTube channel and on the MUFON X and Facebook. So please show your support for MUFON. And I'm sure CJ and Rich are going to be discussing it now, where you can go see MUFON, join MUFON, etc. But I just wanted to mention that. And happy Thanksgiving to everybody. And guys, I'm humble. So when you do that kind of stuff, it makes me like,
happy Thanksgiving to you and your mom, Bill.
And to all those that are watching and listening.
Everybody.
Have a great rest of your show.
Hey, tell your mom we said hello.
I will. Have a great show.
Buddy.
Thank you, Bill.
We can't do it without him. We can't do it without KGRA. And we're very blessed. It's a good relationship with MUFON and them and all the shows. And the good thing is we're going to show now when we do our monthly news with the MUFON and all the stats and everything. I'm sure CJ's got that. I'll talk a little bit about the network. So you want to just, I'll
let you do stats. I saw the email, but I figured you'd get into stats. But for now, what I'll talk about.
I was actually, what I was so excited about because of what Bill, and I'm going to just do it because I think it's.
Go ahead, you do it, and then I'll go back to what I was going to do. Go for it. Go, Rich.
Well, I think that we should probably just let everybody know that what Bill was talking about. So this is the Mutual UFO Network that's on YouTube. And we just want to let everybody know that they have a great plethora of things that MUFON is doing in this genre and this medium, all the way from, I mean, as you can see, home video, shorts, live, podcasts, playlists, posts. As you can see, this is all stuff that's come up. For those of you,
there's
MUFON
Hannah. I see Hannah from headquarters.
Right, and then you see the Tim Ains episode. That was our last one that showed, and it got 966 views. But so we've expanded that with the program. So that's actually cool. You can see a number of videos that are up there related to MUFON. These are all the symposiums for those of you. I mean, because MUFON World is really big. And the other thing that I thought was really cool, there's a number of not only movies, but all these shorts and all these little aspects. And then they have some other things that they want you to be a part of. And one of the things I like too, and you can see some of the podcasts here related to the different shows that related to, and then of course there's a bunch of playlists.
Yeah, we're not the official MUFON podcast. There's a different one.
No, we're not. No, that's true. This is their channel. We're just a part of it now, which is a very cool thing. And we just
I'm so glad you guys worked it out.
Yeah, we just want to make sure everybody, is able to see what we're doing and being a part of that. And anyway,
MUFON's going to be launching a new app in the new year and make reporting UFOs a lot easier. And so a great way to stay on top of what's going on here is going to be to subscribe. And we're with Southern California MUFON, Richard and I, and we're both on the ERT team. And I'm just going to say right now, MUFON always needs field investigators. If you're watching this, like, it's funny, our old boss, Earl Grey, who passed away, we have people on our team from like NASA, people who've worked for NASA, and then I'm like the housewife who turned into a UFO investigator. So we really run the whole spectrum of people, and we're always looking for field investigators. For instance, right now, obviously they don't have enough field investigators in Tennessee because I was just assigned a case. I'm with the CAG, which is the Case Assistance Group, and I help when there is a shortage of investigators in a certain area of the country. So I was just assigned a fascinating case out of Tennessee. So if you're in Tennessee, we need you. There's a lot of states where we need field investigators. So if you're listening to this and you don't know what to do, we have our email address, cjandrichard@gmail.com. We'll help you, but you can also just go to MUFON.com. You can join MUFON. You can go to the chapters page, find your chapter, email the state director, say, hey, what do I got to do to become a MUFON field investigator? How do I get involved? And they're just going to help guide you through all of this. And then you can be sitting here like Richard and I and the rest of the team that's going to join us in a few minutes, which I'm very excited about. And also Southern California MUFON is going to start having monthly online meetings. We're going to do some in-person meetings as well, periodically, like once a quarter. But the first Sunday of every month, starting in January, we're going to have online meetings, which you're all welcome to join. It's going to be on Zoom. And if you follow us on Facebook or Instagram, or just go to our website, SoCalMUFON.com, you're going to be able to see the updates and know when we're having a meeting and be able to register. And you don't even have to be a member to come to the meeting. You can just register, come to the meeting, and listen to our speakers. But what else? We like to share books. I was going to share a book that I've been reading, which you may have already read this, Richard. You've read a lot more books than me, but a friend of mine just told me I got to read the communion letters.
Oh, wow.
Have you read it?
No, but
Not yet?
This is the story of him and Whitley and his wife, and the work that they done with the professor over at Rice University, and all the letters that they got. Incredible.
Yes. After communion came out, they started, he says, they realized a few weeks after communion came out, like the post office delivered a bag of mail rather than a regular mail. And they got thousands of letters and they curated it. And a friend of mine said, you got to read the communion letters. So I picked up, this is like from 2003. There's various covers, different copies. And I even saw you can get it on Amazon Kindle. I think it's like $4. But these are people's letters that they wrote to Whitley and Ann, his wife. And just describing, which is what I love, which is like people's personal accounts, just regular folks talking about what they saw. They don't know what it is. They're not saying it's one thing or the other. They're just describing what happened to them. And I'm barely into this book. I'm only a few stories in, but it's fascinating, and I relate to so
it's
much.
funny that you mentioned that, because Whitley wrote the book Them, which is one of his most recent books, and part of it's predicated on the letters that he received, him and his wife, on the book that you were mentioning. And what he was trying to do is paint a picture from their perspective about who they are, why they're here, and what they're trying to do. So both of them, great stories. And again, many people were so touched and realized that they weren't crazy, or they weren't imagining everything and experiencing things that, nobody thought that anybody could experience. So again, both of them really good books.
Well, I guess when I saw the title Them, I was kind of chilled, only because when I was a small child and I had my experience, that's what I called them, is them. I didn't know the word gray. I didn't know the word alien. I didn't even know the word UFO. I was like 6 or 7 years old, but I did know it's them. That's what I called them, is them. So when you shared that, I think it was like in our first podcast or the second one, it was early on. I hadn't seen that book. There's so much stuff in the UFO world that no matter how much you study, you're not going to see everything. But it kind of gave me a little bit of chills, because that's what I referred. It's them. I just called them them.
Right.
I didn't have a name. I didn't, nobody. I grew up on a farm. Farmers are not studying aliens and UFOs. So I just called them them. But yeah, there's some great books, and a lot of Whitley's books are out of print, but you can get them used. Like I buy them used. Like this was like $16 on eBay. I got a few other Whitley Strieber books that were like $5 each on eBay, and Abe's books and Thrift Books and whatever your favorite online used bookstore. A lot of these are out of print. So I don't know. I love this kind of stuff. I want to collect them. And I just recommend that you pick them up and give it a read, especially if you've had an experience. Reading other people's experiences, like in this book, is just, I don't know. I just like, even from the first story, I was just highlighting like, oh, I had that feeling. I had that thought. I had that feeling too. And
you probably identified, like you said, with more than you probably even realize, because books like that have a tendency also to stir some memories that we either forgot or that were buried. And, when we do our cases, these are a lot of the reasons why we want to interview folks, both in sighting cases and in either contact or related cases to the phenomena, because those sort of stimulate a lot of things that happen.
Yeah, which is what Communion did. It stirred a lot of memories, and that's how this book exists, because people were saying, I relate to that. I relate to the cover. The people who hadn't even read the book or bought the book. Like I remember as a small child in line at the Save-On drugstore in El Cajon, San Diego, where I'm from, seeing it in the checkout, and I go, ooh, it's them. Like I was like, ooh, because that was my feeling as a child. So whatever it is, it may stir a memory, it may not, but these are fascinating. I am so excited that my friend Joe recommended this book to me, and I couldn't be more excited that I got it. And then I just wanted to mention, and maybe you're going to mention it later too as well, but like 3-Eye Atlas, I mean, everybody's talking about it. Avi Loeb has been doing the talk show circuit. He's everywhere. It's blue, it's red, it's green, it's changing colors. What's going on? It's made of different components. No tail. It's got more nickel than lead. Right. It's 5 kilometers in diameter. It's the size of Manhattan. We're not used to seeing a comet like this. It's got a non-gravitational acceleration going on as it comes around the sun. Another interesting detail, there's not just no tail, there's an anti-tail, I heard him describing. And he said, we've seen this before, but every time we've seen it, we've debunked it as like a flaw in the camera or the telescope. And this is the first time, he said, that we're seeing an actual anti-tail, meaning it's going in the opposite direction. So what is going on? And some people are saying it's a craft from another place, and also we don't even, for me, I'm like, we don't even know what's at the bottom of all our oceans. So maybe it's just a comet that's behaving differently than we've seen before. But
you're right, and it could be.
And it could be.
We all know that there's probably, as Avi Loeb and others have mentioned, that even a number of the eminent physicists have said, why don't you just release? Again, we know the story, and I'm speaking to the choir, but the good thing about it is what I want to say is guys like Avi Loeb and others that we talked about, Beatrice Villarreal with her, her work that she just got published in relationship to those temporal anomalies in the skies in the 50s. The point is, we got all these people who are not part of that group who want to suppress or hide or protect or whatever they want to call it when they're not sharing that information. But we got so many people allowing us to see things and believe things and think things. And so that's a really cool thing. So
yeah. And whether it's like a probe from a civilization or a natural comet that is simply different than other comets we've seen in the past, we are going to learn a ton about it as it passes through our solar system, through the Christmas holiday, through the Hanukkah, whatever your holiday is. I don't mean to be specific, but it's going to be passing through this winter, and we're going to just be learning a ton from it. And I know Avi was saying like NASA's holding some information back, and maybe they are, I don't know. But regardless, we're still going to get a lot of information from this, and we're going to learn. Is this just a comet behaving differently than other comets? Is it just composed of stuff that's different from other comets? Or is this some kind of a probe? I don't know, but I guess we're going to find out. And we haven't seen it yet, but Age of Disclosure just came out a few days ago, right. The 21st, by the time this podcast airs, it will have just come out the Friday before. And we'll be talking about that as well. I can't wait to see it. Since we record ahead of time, I just haven't seen it yet, but I just wanted to mention it. Please, it's on Amazon. Check it out. We'd love to hear what you think about it. If you want to send us an email, we'd love to share your email. And, Southern California, where we are, is one of the most active UFO areas for MUFON. I looked in this morning and there was like 13,500 and something cases in our database. And there's a few states that give us a run for the money. And Florida is one of those states. And we're not going to introduce our guests yet or anything. You don't have to pop them into the room, but I'm just teasing that we're going to be talking to some of our friends from Florida MUFON, another very active state, very soon. With some great field investigators, and I'm super excited about it. But what do you want to say, Richard, before we throw?
Well, you know what? Before we get started, I don't like to bring up when we talk about California and Florida and others. It's like a football game, it's like or a baseball game. So I mean, maybe that's what it is. Maybe we'll play a little football with our brothers and sisters over at MUFON. But a couple of segments that we like to make sure that we also share with people. Deal with these different aspects. So one of the ones I wanted to bring up, because I think it's older, but it's still relevant. This is from the NASA web page, science.nasa.gov, and it's the Copernicus crater. It's at a 45-degree angle, very close. And I like to bring this up to people because, where are they? Who are they? They're not here. They come from someplace else or whatever. But, those of us in this field anyway, in MUFON, we know that these beings, the anomalies or whatever it is, are everywhere. So in this particular case, I wanted to show this picture of the Copernicus crater. And the real reason I wanted to show it as this is another view. If you look in the back of this crater back here, I don't know if you can see towards the back, in the center just to the right, there's a little thing that's sticking up there. And if you can see it right there, a lot of people don't understand because they don't pay attention, but this is from the NASA webpage. There's all kinds of anomalous structures and anomalies in many, many different planets and many, many different parts of the solar system. And this is just further evidence that we believe that whatever it is, it's an anomalous structure. It looks artificial, which means that somebody put it there, which means if it wasn't us, then who was it? And we just like to, people to think about these things. The good thing about this, you can go on to the NASA webpage. You can go in and put the Copernicus crater in there, as you can with all the others, and see this stuff for yourself. I just thought it was really cool. As you can see, the thing in the back, it's some sort of tower. By the way,
it's a tiny
tower,
chess pawn. Maybe they're playing chess.
Just to give you an idea, that tower is probably 8 or 10 miles high.
Right. Or maybe it's just a phenomenon of the camera, and maybe it's just like a light reflection, and maybe it's just some stuff going on, and maybe it's something that's been built by somebody else. Nobody knows. Something of interest, just like you're saying. Mm-hmm.
So the other thing that we like to always share with people is just about future technologies, because on the precipice, we're not only talking about, phenomena, we're also talking about disclosure. We're talking about, evolvement. And we're also talking about where we're going in the future. So one of the things I saw recently, just to give you guys an idea, this is from the BBC forum called Science Focus Magazine. And they were talking about all these 22 ideas of future technologies. And one of the ones I thought about, again, because of just the medical aspect, this is an artificial neuron on a silicone chip that it was created and has been developed to help people. Scientists have found a way to attach this artificial neuron on the silicone chips, mimicking neurons in our own nervous system and copying the electrical properties. Now, I was going to read the rest of this because it's so cool. Until now, neurons have been like black boxes because they have managed to open these black boxes and peer inside. Our work is a paradigm changing because it provides a robust method to reproduce the electrical properties of real neurons in minute details. And so the other things that I thought was cool about this, it talks about these, and at the end there, it talked about how these neurons can be placed not only near the heart and in the brain, because a lot of the things like Alzheimer's are affected by the way our brain fires and the way their neurons and electricity is balanced. And so with these particular neurons, they can actually monitor those, adjust, reduce, even to a certain extent of exterior monitoring devices. And I just am so excited and so, I guess, awe-inspired about just the way we're developing and evolving. And there's a lot of so many interesting things that are going on. And I like sharing those things because I think people will, find it fascinating. And we always want to have our open mind and expand our thoughts. So anyway, cool. That was about it. And, probably we're at that time when our brothers and sisters. So
let's meet our friends from Florida MUFON. You can throw them in the room if you want, Phil. I'm going to introduce them. They got their names on the screen. We have Matt Kellison, the Florida MUFON State Director. Matt is the State Director for Florida MUFON and a member of MUFON's Experiencer Resource Team, just like me and Richard and Rusty, who's going to join us in a moment. Well, she's already here, but whose introduction I'm going to read in a moment. Since joining MUFON in 2022. Did you guys all join in 2022? All of your bios say 2022. So you guys, it must have been a flood of people joining the team in 2022. He served as state director, chief investigator, assistant state director before assuming his current role in 2025. Prior to his work with MUFON, Matt spent 30 years in the U.S. Coast Guard. Thank you for your service, retiring as a chief warrant officer. His distinguished career includes services as helicopter search and rescue air crewman and aviation engineering maintenance officer. Matt holds a bachelor's of science degree in aeronautical technology from Purdue University and a master's of science degree in aviation and aerospace management from Embry-Riddle Aeronautical University. And then we have Rusty, my pal Rusty, from Florida MUFON. She is the assistant state director. Now, Rusty Hester is the assistant state director with Florida, and she is a dedicated member of the Experiencer Resource Team, as I just said, since joining MUFON in 2022. You guys are all 2022. It's like a magic number. She's been deeply involved in supporting the Experiencer Resource Team, unexplained aerial phenomenon. Her fascination with UFO phenomenon began in childhood, long before she had a name for what she described as, same with me, long before. It was just them. We were talking about it before we started recording. To me, it was just them. I didn't have the word UFO or alien or gray or anything. It was just them. And after relocating from Chicago, Chi-Town, to Florida, Rusty experienced a series of compelling sightings, including one particularly profound event that led her to report several cases to MUFON. That experience ignited a personal mission to seek answers, ultimately leading to her becoming a certified field investigator. And that's no joke. The fact that we're all here, that is a huge book. If honestly, get the book, look at what it takes to become a field investigator. It is not that easy. Outside of her work with MUFON, Rusty brings over 30 years of experience in the service industry and has successfully owned her own business for 25 years. She's currently exploring opportunities to collaborate with local manufacturing partners to bring several innovative ideas to the salon industry in her life. And Rusty is also a passionate community volunteer, along with her therapy dog, Blue. Follow her on Facebook if you want to see Blue. Blue's on Facebook. And she visits assisted living facilities, rehabilitation centers, spreading comfort and connection, and and volunteers throughout. Oh, in the Tampa Theater. That's right, supporting Broadway and live performances behind the scenes. Rusty's married and a proud mother of 2 adult children. They're going to be your babies forever, as you know, Rusty. And then we've got Phil. who is the state section director, one of the state section directors in Florida. And Phil's academic credentials include Bachelor's of Science, Electrical Engineering, a Master's of Science, Organizational Leadership, and he's been a project manager for Institute Certified Project Manager since 1999. His initial career in service and cryptography development at IBM Corporation for 32 years. That's no joke. That's some serious stuff. That you're smart, Phil. I can already tell. Where he rose to the position of Senior Development Program Manager after his retirement from IBM. He's dedicated to start a new chapter in his life. He relocated to the DC area and began work for the Department of Defense. Dang, come on, Phil. An IT project manager, business analyst, intelligence officer with security clearance for 10 years. Upon retiring from the DOD, he relocated to Tampa to enjoy his retirement. Sounds like a good place to retire. Enjoy your retirement. Sounds like the water is warm down there. And he's been a member of MUFON also since 2022. You guys all came in 2022.
CJ, I just wanted to comment on so I want everybody to see the fact these are the folks and others that are part of what MUFON is, part of what the phenomena in terms of investigating it. And we are people who really are passionate about this work. And we come from all kinds of walks of light. And we take this stuff very, very serious. And it's something that we believe in. And that's what we want to share with everybody, because the answers and what we're going to give to everybody who wants to listen is our perspective, but it's a grassroots perspective, and it's a grassroots perspective that are filled with folks like you see here from our brothers and sisters in Florida. I have one Florida thing. I graduated from Florida State, so don't hold it against me.
That's you.
Okay, I lived in Panama City, went to school in Miami when I was a kid, so I'm a brother at heart. I've been over here for about 30 years, so thank you and welcome to the show.
Welcome to the team.
Awesome. Thank you guys.
Thank you so much. And like Florida is kind of, I consider it like a sister city for us. Like we work together. We often join them for their field investigator meetings, things like that. We share a lot of information, as we do with a lot of other states in MUFON. I mean, it's really a big collaboration. And I just love that we can all get together today and just chat on this platform, and you guys can share some cases. So I'm going to turn it over to you, Matt, and let you get things started.
All right. Well, yeah, like I said, thank you, CJ and Richard, for having us on. We've got a ton of cases to go over today. A lot of our favorites that we've collected. So I'm just going to, hit the ground running here and dive right in. So the first case that I'm going to go over, it's one that I probably one of the first cases that I investigated that came out with an unknown disposition. This is case number 126442. This happened over in Brevard County in the Indian River Lagoon on August 22nd, 2019. And it involved a research biologist. She was, and I don't want to get too specific because she wishes to remain anonymous. And if I gave you her particular field of study, it would identify her pretty easily. So she's a biologist. Out on the river in a 15-foot skiff, middle of the day. She's got a pair of binoculars strapped around her neck. She looks off to the north. She catches a glimpse of something that she thinks is like an airplane or something. And she looks back and she realizes this is like a 40-foot diameter silver disc that's just hanging over the water, over the flat, the still flat lagoon. She remembered that she had a pair of binoculars around her neck. These were a pair of Nikon 10x50s. So she held them up and she got a good, 30 seconds or so, close up. And she realized this thing is not an aircraft. It's not, no rivets, no seams, perfectly reflective, and not making any kind of sound. Then she remembered that she has, her Nikon camera in her dry bag. So without taking the binoculars away from her face, she starts to reach down to grab her camera so she can take a picture of this thing. As soon as she touches the camera, this thing evaporates. I mean, it just is gone. It doesn't fly off. It just like disappears. And
like
it
blinks
happens.
Blinks out.
it was there and then it wasn't. And she said while she was looking through it through the binoculars. So these 10 by 50s, I did some calculations for the field of view, just to give you an idea. If you're looking at the moon through these binoculars, the moon takes up about 8% of the total field of view. What she saw took up 25% of the field of view. So she got a incredible, view of this thing looking through the binoculars. She had her logbook. She made all the notations, marked her GPS position, and then reported it to us.
Is this picture her? Did she draw this picture?
She did. That's the witness. The witness drew that picture, and then there's an AI rendering of the event. But that picture was used for the AI rendering as well. So. But she PhD at the time. She was a PhD candidate and U.S. Navy veteran. So no photographic evidence, just eyewitness report. But it comes from a really super credible witness. So that went into my book. That was my first unknown that I ever did. So one of my favorite cases. Real simple, but yeah.
They disappear, man. I've seen it. That was my case as well. They literally vanish.
So, Matt, you talk about and this is the key difference with what we do a lot. Witness testimony and credibility are huge in terms of us believing. And what I mean by that, it's different than some of the others. It's because obviously the biggest issues you get with witnesses and how they view things and perceptions and paradigms and all that. But for us, it is significant in relationship to who they are, how they view it, and how it's here. Plus, we're able to compare and contrast with other cases, and we're able to track and see the similarities. So it's just a very important aspect of the work that we do.
Absolutely. So, and especially with there's CJ, Rusty, and myself, and Richard also on the Experiencer Resource Team. And that really comes into play a lot working with experiencers, because when you're talking with some of these contactees and experiencers for, sometimes hours and hours over multiple sessions, and you realize, I mean, these people, a lot of them have PTSD. They're telling pretty much the same story. But and then that's, you can tell that the credibility is also on that side of the house too, with the the experiencer side. So
they're losing sleep, man. They're losing sleep, thinking about this at night. They're waking up in the middle of the night and they're thinking about it, and they can't get it out of their head.
Yeah, absolutely. So the next one I wanted to bring up. So this is Phil's case that he did earlier this year, and we're going to get into some spheres. You guys have heard of the Booga sphere.
The Booga sphere, yeah.
And you got the Mosul orb, and there's all these spheres all over the place. In Florida, back in the 70s, we had the Betz sphere that was found up, near Jacksonville, and you put it on the ground and it would roll around on its own. And
great story.
Yeah, so there's spheres are all over the place in Florida. So we're going to share some great sphere cases with you. And the first one we're going to throw up there is from Phil Summers.
Yeah, so again, this is a fairly recent case, and it's case number 142608. And maybe the best way to start this discussion is it's only a 15-second video. So why don't we show the video, and then I'll fill in some of the information we found out during the investigation.
And again, I just want to make sure that I got it, because the videos relate to the. I apologize, Phil. How long is the video? Do you know how long the video is?
15 seconds, roughly, Richard.
Roughly. So let me, and again, bear with me, guys. I just want to make sure.
Oh, you're muted. Everybody unmute.
Well, that's.
So again, it's only 15 seconds, but it's a very impressive video to start with. Yeah. It's daylight, and I would say the majority of our cases we get are not daylight sightings. So whenever you get a daylight sighting, you really, have something to work with. This happened in St. Petersburg. which is on the western coast of Florida. Again, very common with the case that Matt talked about. I don't know if water has a continuance of a factor in these cases, but again, in that area, it was kind of interesting when the case started. I didn't think it was going to be much because it was almost a year to the day that the person saw it versus reported it. And that always kind of puts a little bit of question behind the case. And also that this video that we just saw was not attached to the original information that was provided by the case. So in contacting the witness and teasing out, to talk a little bit about it, they actually then supplied the video for the analysis. And what's really interesting is this person had seen similar spheres in the past, but had never had the chance to actually catch it on video. So when this happened, they were actually at a work site. They literally stepped out of the building, was on the phone, and luckily in their hands, and was able to stop the call and make the video that we just saw. And she was ultra excited about being able to catch it to basically prove to others what she's been trying to explain, but very few people really would believe her. As you would imagine, seeing something as she did.
Phil, I have a question. So you're saying she's seen multiple ones?
She has seen this type of thing in the past, but not this close up, Richard.
And does she have a long history of contact or encounters? Do you know?
She didn't mention contact, but she did mention she's had experiences seeing, unusual events.
Wow. Interesting.
And what kind of delayed in the reporting, it was between her and her husband, fear of what that may do to their reputations and then maybe the business side of things. So that's another theme that we do, often encounter, why people don't report at all, or why they want to keep it anonymous, or why they even delay, because sometimes they have to be talked into actually doing the reporting by others.
Right.
And I think what encouraged this person is, with all of the recent activity that had been happening with the drones in the New Jersey, New York area, all the discussions happening in the DC, they felt a little bit more comfortable bringing their own information forward.
Phil, if it's okay, I'll just show the video one more time. It may mute everybody, but just to let everybody see what it is, if that's okay with you. Okay.
Yes, please. And I know it's very hard to see here, but I had help of one of our other investigators that really does tremendous photo and video analysis. And he literally did a frame by frame of the video. And what's really interesting, if you focus on the beginning of the video, the sphere, although you're taking video of the sky, is not there for the first roughly 8 frames of the video, and then suddenly appears.
Wow.
And then its motion it's almost like the camera is having difficulty really focusing in on it. It has
what kind of camera is that? Is that a security camera? It doesn't look like it's not a cell phone ratio. Is it a cell phone? She's holding it sideways.
Yes, she was holding a cell phone.
Okay.
I think it was an iPhone, if I remember correctly, which had really great resolution.
Yeah.
And it kind of blurred. So its motion pattern was not only odd, but it was a little bit unusual in the way it moved and in the way the camera was capturing the movement. And toward the end, it kind of goes up, and it's maybe a little hard to see, but you could almost make the case that it doesn't just go out of frame, but perhaps it actually, I'll use the word dematerialize in quotes, just like at the beginning of the video. Right. And the witness kind of described it, that it was there, but it wasn't there, and then was able to really capture it on video. And obviously, with your own observation of what you're seeing, it's not an airplane, it's not a helicopter, it's not a bird. And a
I mean, it doesn't
drone-
even look like a Mylar balloon. You know, our go-to, oh, it's silver, it's a Mylar balloon. Like it doesn't look like that to me personally.
even following that type of possibility, if it was even a balloon, the erratic pattern didn't match the wind patterns that were reported by the weather forecast.
Like the way it's moving.
Right. So and then I even explored, well, is it possibly some sort of advanced new drone technology that they're developing? And they are kind of developing spherical drones, but they're not ready for prime time just yet.
Right.
So
are they near a military base?
In that area, not directly. It would be pretty far away from a large military base in Tampa, but not immediately within that area. So it was highly unusual, a tremendous case to investigate, and a true unknown.
Right. Wow.
Yeah. Cool.
And I wish we had more of these. And in fact, there is another one that's almost akin to this that happened in roughly the same area that Matt's going to talk about next. So there may be something to this sphere form that is appearing, at least in our area. So Matt, I think it would be good for you to follow up with the case.
Yeah, absolutely. So the next one, I'll go over this next case, 133458. It's in Pinellas County, right there, where St. Petersburg, Florida is. And this one, real quick though, your case, Phil, the thing that I thought was really amazing was the last couple of frames where you see the thing at the top and then it just shoots off really quick. And it's hard to, you don't catch it the first time you see it. If you watch it a couple of times, then it's very evident. It just takes off. Right. So yeah, that was pretty cool.
And a lot of times what I do, and I know you guys probably do it, I will actually take a video when I'm doing it. I will actually slow it down 50, and then I'll slow it down to 25% to see if I see anything. And then in some cases, I'll actually speed it up, and that's how we're able to look at it from a different perspective. So, and you can, like you said, you can catch more of it leaving, it blinking out, dissolving or whatever. So,
and that's why we did, with the help of the other investigator, we did frame by frame analysis.
Right.
And it kind of showed some really odd characteristics.
Right.
So yeah, this next case number 133458, Pinellas County, Florida. This happened on October 31st, 2020, over in Clearwater, Florida. This was 11:15 in the morning on Halloween Day that year. There was a gentleman. He was up on his roof trimming some trees. In Florida, things grow pretty fast and the trees get out of hand. So sometimes you just have to climb up on your roof and take a saw to them. So he was up on his roof and he noticed this sphere that was flying from east to west, just to the north of his position. It was going about 100 miles an hour, about 500 feet above the ground. And he sat there and watched this thing zip by. And then right behind it was a U.S. Air Force A-10 Thunderbolt II Warthog, U.S. Air Force ground attack aircraft that was in hot pursuit of this thing. So real quick case. I mean, no pictures or videos or anything like that, just witness testimony. These things happen so fast. I mean, by the time you go to grab your phone, it's over. So, I always tell people the most advanced computer on the planet Earth is the human brain. And so whatever you can document with your eyes, a lot of times that's a whole lot better than missing a whole bunch of the sighting because you're fooling around trying to find your camera. So
now, did you do the recreation, or did he do the
I did. Yeah, that was so what he did is he laid out the map of his neighborhood with the flight paths, which was popped up first, and then the other one is the AI recreation, of just to kind of set the scene to give everybody the.
Right.
Were you able to track the Warthog? Did you find that?
So they're not
responding
in Florida that have that particular model, but there are a bunch of bombing ranges especially in Central Florida up north, and then in the middle part of the state. One in particular is called Avon Park in the central part, where there's all kinds of military bomb exercises. And because this is an attack jet, which would be launching, shooting at things on the ground. It's conceivable that maybe it was over at Avon Park doing some exercises, was on its way back home, wherever in the country that was, saw this thing and decided to give chase. So, I mean, that's kind of how I formulated it in my head, but really interesting, and it's Clearwater's a populated area. So to have this thing whizzing over everybody's, rooftops in the middle of the day on Halloween.
It's got to be loud. I mean, it's got to be loud.
Oh, yeah.
We get the
absolutely.
Helicopters flying through Los Angeles, the military helicopters. My whole house shakes. Everything.
Yeah, it's loud.
In
Sound of freedom.
In Central Command, or one of the major command centers there, and I don't know if it's in Tampa, I apologize, or St. Pete, but it's there. So they're able to call in if they want to. And again, in this particular case, we've seen it in many cases where all of a sudden some kind of copter or something all of a sudden is on scene quicker. It's because they're able to either vector in or communicate to go ahead and look. Up at Eglin and Tyndall, where I'm from, up there, that happened all the time. So, because I grew up on Air Force bases. So
yeah, absolutely. They have the around the continental United States, they have Air Force, a lot of Air National Guard units and Air Force units that they do the air intercept for targets coming in across the ADIZ. So that's basically the border around the United States, and
right.
If there's traffic that's coming in from outside of the ADIZ, then they don't have a transponder and they're not communicating with air traffic control. Then these jets, they're stationed all over the place. They'll go and do the intercept, but typically I don't think an A-10 would be a good intercept.
No, it's not.
It's low and slow. So
that's the one that was close.
Yeah, but
to give Richard some context, in Tampa Bay itself, there is the MacDill Air Force Base, is what you're probably thinking of, Richard.
Right. Yes.
And that has CENTCOM, SOCOM, major military Air Force present. And I would guess, Matt, that's within 30 miles of this sighting, roughly.
Yeah, I mean, it's right across Tampa Bay, right on the other side. So line of sight, it's maybe even, like 15 miles,
Wow.
15,
Yeah.
no more than 20 miles. So, so that's another sphere case. And then this, I think, will be the last sphere case that I'll talk about. This happened down in Sarasota at Bradenton, Sarasota Bradenton International Airport. This is case number 134831. And this is a video. So the gentleman was at the gate waiting for his flight to take off. It was gate B3, and you'll see B3 in the video. And he sees this sphere, tracking down the taxiway, maybe 100 feet off the ground, just floating by. So he got his cell phone out and took a video of it as it passed by. It's kind of unusual the way this thing moves. There's no erratic movements like the sphere that Phil showed you. But so this is just a straight line. But keep in mind that day the winds were out of the northwest. And it was really super windy that day. It was 15 miles per hour, gusting to 25. So, if you see a mylar balloon in the wind, I mean, it's like flip flopping all over the place. And when you see this thing going down the taxiway, it is just straight line, steady. It looks like it has some weight to it as it goes by. So, if we can, let's run the video for that 134831.
Matt, this is the 53-second one?
Correct. Yeah.
Okay, so here we go, guys. Wow. Look at that. Oh, yeah, look at that.
And
Wow.
those are just some zoomed in close-ups.
Yeah. It's shining, too, like you said. Wow.
I mean, that's a strong wind going too. That's, what did you say, 25?
Yeah, so it was 15 gusting to 25. And then we did have the MUFON's photo analysis team take a look at this, and they did find some anomalies. One, there was kind of an aura surrounding the sphere, which kind of indicates that there might have been some kind of magnetic field surrounding it.
Oh, yeah.
So yeah,
Oh, wow.
that was very interesting. But and this was not my case. This was one of our field investigators. His name is Jay Desane, who lives down there in Sarasota. And
Thank you, Jay, for sharing with us.
yeah, absolutely. So he did reach out to the FAA. The FAA, the controller in the tower there, told him that he needed to contact Bigelow Aerospace to report this thing. So,
Of course.
yeah, I thought that was interesting. But you know, these kind of incursions at airports are a pretty big deal. If you know, whether it's a runway incursion with a plane or a ground vehicle, or even just something as simple as like a flock of birds or balloons, they're going to have they're going to put a hold on all traffic landing and departing from those airports. It's a really big deal. And for this thing to be nonchalantly just flying up the taxiway, and none of the air traffic controllers up in the tower spotted it, you know, I think is amazing. And I don't know if it's one of those things that just it's only visible in a certain way that you look at it, and maybe from up in the tower looking down, like it was completely invisible to them. But yeah, that's just another oddity with it, because I mean, like I said, they'll hold flights for a flock of birds. You know,
Isn't that what's happening around the world anyway right now?
Yeah,
with especially
drones,
in Europe, you know.
Yeah, over in Belgium. So that was. I think we're done with the drones, or the not the drones, but the spheres. So then I'm going to kick it over to Rusty, and she's going to cover a couple more cases, non-sphere cases.
Thank
Rusty!
you. Good job.
Rusty.
Hi. So I want to share just 3 cases that I worked on. They're small cases, and I don't feel like sometimes the good small cases get their just because it's just a picture. But it's something that you close as an unknown because you don't know what it is. It's just baffling to people. And I wanted to share just a few of those with you.
Hey, Rusty, can you do something for us in terms of educating just the people that are watching?
Sure.
Just tell them what the classification unknown means and what it really represents.
So when we close a case as an unknown, it's either an unknown aerial vehicle, which is more of nuts and bolts. And then we have unknown other, which is more like an orb or something that is not nuts and bolts. And so we have those 2 categories to close them out. And when we as field investigators have gone through every possibility, and we should be 90% sure that it's an unknown. And so that's how I came up with these.
So what, if I understand, I just want to make sure everybody else understands. What we try to do in our work is we try to answer it prosaically, or what it probably is. We go from what it probably could be, or it looks like every other normal thing. And then as we go along in our investigation, it becomes to the point where it's an anomaly, and we're not able to attach anything that is known or that we understand. And so when we get into the idea of unknown, it's not saying that it's alien, it's not saying that it's ET, it's not saying that it's whatever. It's just so anomalous that we're not able to attach any known based on our science, based on our information. And so that's why we attach that sort of disposition to it.
Yeah, and also what I like about being a field investigator is even coming up with a disposition that people, you know, they're happy to hear that, oh, it was an airplane. Or right. One of the cases I worked on was out of Miami. It was the Army jump team jumping out of planes at like 5 a.m. with flares on. They go down south here in the wintertime for practice. And I was like, I couldn't figure out what that was, but then I read the article that they were in South Florida on Homestead practicing for the winter. And so the person who saw this, and I had a couple of them that saw it, they were very happy to know that maybe there wasn't a UFO over them. It was very anomalous looking though, but I do enjoy helping people figure it out, even when it isn't an unknown.
Oh, you educate them, you teach them
Yeah,
too
I
to be
like
better observers.
Yeah. Yeah. So the first case I'm going to go over is case number 123425. This is out of Fort Lauderdale, and it's from July 10th of 2022. It was when I first became a field investigator, and it did make the MUFON Journal the next month. Maybe they were hard up for cases that month, but I thought it was a pretty cool photo. And
It's a cool photo.
Yeah, and when I look back at it now, it reminds me of the jellyfish video or the jellyfish thing that people are reporting. And so I wanted to just show you guys all that picture. This young man was walking home from the grocery store in Fort Lauderdale, and his hands were full of bags. And he decided he saw a cloud in the sky that looked really strange. And he said, "Man, that looks weird." And he put all his groceries down, pulled out his phone, and took a picture. He didn't see what was in the cloud, but something just told him to please take a picture. And so he took his picture, went back up to his apartment, put his groceries away. 10 minutes later, he looked at the pictures and he thought, "What is that?" And it looked quite large with his vantage point. So he even told me, "I've never thought of UFOs, never believed in it," but his friend told him about MUFON, so he thought, well, I'll just report it and see if they know what it is. I know when I started investigating it, it looked really weird to me because it has some appendage on it and stuff, but I thought, is that the blimp? Because Fort Lauderdale does have a Goodyear blimp station where you can book a ride. I think you have a year's waiting list to get on that ride, but I called there to check, and they didn't fly that day because of some bad weather, so that ruled that out. And so I closed that out as an unknown aerial vehicle, and I liked the picture, and I thought it was pretty cool. And when you do enlarge the picture, you can even see more of the appendages coming from it.
I just did a screen grab and zoomed in while you were talking.
It looks giant, like a bird or something with something hanging from it.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
So,
great, Rusty.
Nice.
Yeah. The next one is case number 130188. And this was North Daytona Beach on April 3rd, 2023. And there was this guy and his wife. They live 5 minutes from the beach, and they go fishing at nighttime about midnight, normally twice a week. And they went outside of their house to get everything ready to go fishing. And he looked up at the sky and saw two triangle-shaped things right there. And he started to take a video of it, though. He said he didn't even know that he took pictures of it. The video he took was awful. And when he got home, when they went back in the house, he started looking. He's like, "I didn't take any photos." Well, he did. He took a couple, and they captured really good shots. That's not even cleaned up or anything. Yeah. And him and his wife were so scared, they did not go back to the beach. They were like, "We're going in for the night." That scared them. They were really frightened by it, and even stayed away from fishing for a little bit. I did check with Flight Radar 24. There was one Cessna in the area that took off from Embry-Riddle College. They were going on a night flight for, it was a student going on a student flight for the night flight. And other than that, there was nothing else in the area.
That's not a Cessna.
No, it's not a Cessna. And then, but the thing is, again, it could be ours. We could have some kind of triangle craft like the TR-3B that everybody talks about, but it's still unknown. Nobody knows because they haven't let us know yet. So,
but the color is that so it's at nighttime, and I'm sure it's far enough that the camera wouldn't have shined it, but for it to be illuminated like that.
Yeah, the whole thing is illuminated, not just a couple of points of light, and not the usual green and red. Yeah.
And boomerang. Yeah.
Yeah, and he said there were lights on the tips all the way around. And he said they were just freaked out by it. That made the MUFON Journal as well. And they did a little story and write up in that, and that was kind of fun.
Wow.
Wow.
Nice. Very cool.
Very cool. That's
Yeah.
amazing.
So just to let you guys know, and I don't know, I apologize, Rusty. We're going to go to our break here pretty soon.
Okay.
Did Bill give us? I forgot.
Yep. It's time to wrap up after Rusty.
So
We're gonna take
what
a
we're
quick
going to
break
do,
and come
guys,
back.
is and it's a nice natural break. We're just going to go to a 3-minute break. You have time to take a little thing, and then we're going to come back, and then we're going to continue our journey, if that's okay.
Okay, sounds good. Do you want to do my case right now, or just take the break and then come back?
Take a break and then the next
Okay,
one.
sounds good. We'll see
Back
you
to
soon.
Rusty after the
All
break.
right. Okay.
Hold on to your seats, Cosmic Explorers. KGRA Digital Broadcasting, the unrivaled #1 source for raw, uncensored paranormal and UFO talk radio, has just unleashed a sizzling online merch store. Stay cosmic on the move with accessories, rugged phone cases, vibrant yoga mats, and notebooks perfect for jotting down UFO sightings. Ignite your obsession with the unexplained through bold, exclusive gear that demands attention. Kicking off with the Supernova, the store launches 2 heart-pounding collections, KGRA Digital Broadcasting and Bishop James Long. Every item you grab helps power the network and its groundbreaking shows. Stand with the truth seekers, act fast, score your stellar swag, and join the uprising today.
So you don't care about his life. You just care about covering up your little top secret stuff going on. Meanwhile, this man's dying. How dare you put these people in the military to defend us, and then when they come out, you just kick them to the curb.
As UFO reports come in from around the world, the Mutual UFO Network, MUFON, is there. We continue to explore new cases and build our massive database. We share our information with the world in a number of ways. If you would like to be part of our investigative team, you are always welcome. What could be more exciting than exploring the UFO question firsthand? Join MUFON, find your friends.
All right.
I love seeing Hannah in the break.
I agree.
Time, right? It's so fun to see Hannah at
I agree.
headquarters. That's who we all talk to anytime we have a question or need anything from headquarters. So we're going to dive back in with our good friend Rusty in Florida. Go back to a Rusty case. And I believe, what is your next one? Yours is 132468.
Yes.
Great.
And this took place on May 15th, 2022 at 5:34 a.m. at the Tampa airport. The witness waited about a year to report it because she was scared. She was a 30-year employee and was
At the airport?
At the airport as a supervisor of airplanes to make sure that a flight inspector to make sure everything was working right with the planes before they take off. And there was a blood moon that morning, and she decided she wanted to get out there before the sun came up and take some pictures of it. And right before she started taking pictures, she noticed something metallic looking in the sky. And it was kind of forming and coming out of nowhere. You can see it way in the background there to the left of the moon.
Oh, it's tiny.
And
It's on the corner there. Is that the one on the corner?
yes, above the airport to the left. And
Right.
the next picture is zoomed in more. So what she said about this was that it was metallic looking. It had windows on it. It was shooting out balls, is what she said, out of the bottom of it. You can kind of see
Yeah.
something coming out of the bottom of it, and it was plasma aura, she said, all over it. And she was in awe by it, took some pictures of it, and was scared to report it. Her coworkers did not want to report it. They agreed that it was no kind of aircraft in the area. No planes had left or taken off yet from or even landed at the Tampa airport yet. So it was before anything was going on.
And these are airport folks. These are people around airplanes all the time,
Yeah,
right?
she's 30 years in the business.
And nobody's skydiving next to the airport.
No,
That's not cool.
She was at the hangar, and she finally decided to report it because she was retiring. She found out she had breast cancer and said, you know what, I'm going to report this now because now I'm not afraid to lose my job. And so she did, and her coworkers didn't want to do it, but she did.
We get those though, you know, people just
Yeah.
want to be on the record. They just want to
Yeah.
say, like, if I disappear tomorrow, I just want this on the record
Right.
for the future, you know?
Yeah, and she just said it was weird. It was like it was spraying out balls.
I
And
had one like that.
it dissipated. All of a sudden it just dissipated. But she said the more she looked at it, she could see visible windows in it. And then when I enlarged photos and cleaned it up a lot too, I could see windows all at the bottom. It was almost like an airplane itself that was coming back from time or something. I don't know. It was just eerie.
Wow,
Yeah.
that is so cool. That's such an anomalous, no pun intended. Well, maybe
Yeah.
photo. I mean, it's just that
Yeah.
that's a really good photo.
Yeah. So that's what happened with her. And she retired now and I've talked to her a few times since. She said she still thinks about it every single day. And that's brought her to now be a sky watcher all the time and waiting for her next sighting.
Wow.
Yeah.
I
Way
can
cool.
imagine. Once
Very
you see
nice.
one, you know, you're always looking at the sky.
Always. Yeah.
You step outside to take out the trash and you're always looking
Just
up,
like
you're
waiting to
driving
see
around.
it. Yep.
And it takes a lot of courage for folks like that. I mean, it really, really does take
Yeah.
a lot of courage for people, especially who are in a business of that kind of stuff. And then people in other governmental and then contractual. And I know it takes a lot of courage, but for those of you who are listening, you know, we are passionate about this and we want to hear from you. And you all have a lot of insight and a lot of pictures. And if you're really
And if she's
interested,
listening, thank you.
yeah, if you just want to, you can reach out to any of us, our brothers in Florida, obviously in California and any other place. So it takes courage.
Yeah.
Anyway, where are we at?
I think we're going back to Matt
All
right
right.
now.
Yeah, so-
613.
Yep. So real quickly,
What
I
was
just
the
wanted to
case
mention-
number? I apologize, Matt.
Oh, it's so this is 130613. And real quick before I dive into that one, you know, I know Rusty was talking about the, you know, our unknowns, the type of unknowns versus, you know, IFOs, identified flying objects. And I just wanted to mention that for our field investigators, we've got, I think, 22 field investigators now. They have to slog through a whole bunch of cases. You know, we were here in Florida. We've got rocket launches that are like twice, 2-3 times a week, it seems like. And every time there's an early morning or an early evening launch right after the sun either comes up or goes down, we get the space jellyfish going. And it's just, there's all kinds of reports coming in from those. But for our typical field investigator, you know, about maybe 7 to 12% of our cases are classified as unknowns. The rest of them have prosaic, you know, explanations. And so I got to give up my field investigators a lot of credit because they go through case after case after case where it's explainable. And then all of a sudden it's like 1 in 10 or 1 in 15 or something like that. They get one that's weird and they can't explain. And that's the big payoff, you know, for those folks. So, but I really have to hand it to our folks, and not just in Florida, but the MUFON field
Everywhere. Ours
investigators.
too.
Absolutely.
It is a lot of benign, prosaic.
Images taken through a window where there's a million reflections from behind the person, and it's just like.
And if you look at it from a annual, if we're talking 8, 10 to 11 or 12,000 cases a year, we all know that 5, 7, 8% maybe are unknown. So I mean that's a lot of cases, and it's not that people are just shooting anything. And a lot of people are very conscientious about, I don't want just to shoot anything, but that looks anomalous. So, it is an educational process, not only for us, but for them. But so it's very important that people understand that.
But I don't want to discourage people from submitting
absolutely.
something, because the more we can get, the more stuff that we can filter through.
Also, we learn from every case. This is the thing. A lot of new field investigators come. Everybody needs to get the SpaceX. Everybody needs to get that case so they can identify SpaceX in the future, right? Everyone needs to get the satellite train as a case. Right, Starlink, so that they can identify it in the future. So if you can't identify it, report it. Let us decide,
Yeah, absolutely.
Definitely.
So, well, cool. All right. So switching gears back to case number 130613. So we're going to be in Hillsborough County. So this is actually, for those familiar with Tampa, this is going to take place right on Interstate 4, I-4 at the Hard Rock Casino. This is probably one of the busiest stretches of highway in Florida, if not the nation. It gets about 150,000 cars a day. And I think it ranks like 35 or 40 in the nation for busiest highways. So this stretch of road on the night of March 1st, 2023, around 9:45 p.m., there was a family of four, a father, he was 39 years old, mother, 39 years old, and two children in the back, one aged 10 and one aged 8. As they're driving along the interstate, they all four saw this gigantic, but I say gigantic, it was probably 30, 40 foot black triangle right above the road in front of them. They drove underneath it, and they had a sunroof on their car, so all of them were able to look up through the sunroof and observe it at pretty close range. It was under 500 feet in altitude, so they all got a really, really good look at it. Nobody took a picture, nobody took a video of it, but this goes back to the witness credibility now. When I did the interview with them, I did the interview with all of them on speakerphone, the mother, the father, and the two kids. I interviewed all together all at once. And it was absolutely incredible to hear these young children that were just emphatic about like how excited they saw this thing, and it was crazy, and they knew it was crazy. But it's the gigantic black triangle with flashing red, green, and blue and orange lights that they drove under. And this is there was a lot of people on the highway that night. Nobody apparently saw anything. That they were the only ones that reported it to MUFON, and there wasn't anything on the local news or anything like that. And
hey, Matt, did they do these drawings themselves? I'm going to show them now whenever you tell me.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, so they did the drawings, and they're labeled so you can see. So that's that was the father.
Okay.
Yeah. And then he was driving.
Okay. And then he's age 39, is that right?
Yeah, witness A is age 39.
And then this is
that's Witness B. She was in the passenger seat, and that's what she saw. She described it as a sort of instead of a square pizza box, it was a triangular shaped pizza box, but it definitely had a pretty good edge on it. And then all of those little squares on the edge were different colors, and she said each corner would light up, and then the squares would they would light up going toward the center of that side. She said, it was just really, really brilliant. And, they were able to get kind of the flash pattern. They observed it for, 10, 15 seconds. So
blue, green lights, you said? Yeah, blue, green lights. Yeah.
It was, it was white, blue, green, and red. And they were, she said that the colors they wouldn't just flash off and flash on in a different color, that they would kind of like morph into the next color. So and I checked out there with the hard rock, and there was no light display. The cloud layer was fairly high, so we're not talking about spotlights reflecting off of the lower cloud
What's this?
level.
What's this? This is interesting. This 1C H10. What is that?
That so you kind of can see the triangle shape in there,
Right.
and then I guess the side panels are the squares there, but
One of the child. So who did the renditions? The AIs.
Yeah.
Who did those?
Oh, that was I put that together just for to have something to look at. So this kind of gives you an idea of what the
That's why they're in the car. Yeah.
Yes, and then there's just some other AI renditions, and then there's actually I think a picture in there that I took of the actual spot where they were at. That's on Google Earth Street View. So, but really super busy stretch of highway through there.
Right. Did
obviously.
you say, and this was, and I have to apologize. I know you said by Hard Rock, and that's the street view. So that's where they were driving, right? Is this, this is Interstate 4?
That's I-4. And so that building off to the left is the Hard Rock Casino. And then directly across the road from that is the Tampa Fairgrounds, where they have a lot of concerts and stuff over there. And so it's, 8 lanes of traffic right there. And I can tell you that 9:45 at night, it's a lot of traffic over there.
Is that the old Turnpike 27?
No, this is where it's the just before the I-475.
I see. Yeah. Okay, I know where it's at. I think 75 was part of 27 too. So anyway, that's just me going back. Sorry, guys.
But yeah, like I said, no photographic evidence or anything, but really it came down to witness testimony where, and the best thing was hearing these kids and how excited they were to describe what they saw. So I thought that was that was the best part of that. Yeah. So the next two, so I've got 2 more, and these are pretty heavy. So the first one is case number 135664. And this was I helped with the investigation on this case, but David Toon was the field investigator that this was his case that he was assigned. He was the chief investigator in Florida for years, and he's still with us and does a bunch of cases with us. But this was his case. This took place in Umatilla, Florida, right in the middle of the Ocala National Forest. This took place on December 9th, 2023 at 12:45 in the afternoon. And so it starts out this, the witness had her dog in her back seat. She was driving north on Florida State Road 19, which cuts right through the Ocala National Forest. And if you can imagine 2-lane highway with 50, 60-foot pine trees on each side, then it goes for 10 or 15 miles, runs north to south. She was heading north. There was a car behind her. There was a tractor trailer truck in front of her, and there were several cars in the other lane that were southbound. She started hearing this really loud screech, as if like metal on metal kind of screech. Her dog in the back seat started going berserk, started wailing like it was, in pain. And then the engine died. And not only did her engine die, but everybody's vehicle out there died, including the tractor trailer that was in front of her, and which is unusual. We talk about electromagnetic effects, but this tractor trailer was, they're diesel, and they're, it's kind of more of a, once they're lit, you have to remove the fuel in order to turn them off. So it's not like you're, removing the electrical that kills the engine. So that was unusual. But so everybody's car died, and everybody was like, what's going on? Everybody started getting out of their car. And right about that time, this large black triangle flew from east to west, right over top of them, doing incredible speed. And in fact, it was so low that this witness said that she saw it topped off one of the top of the pine tree, and this like 3 or 4 foot section of the pine tree canopy fell off and fell down to the ground and onto the side of the road. Wow. And I'll get to more of that here in just a few minutes. But so the black triangle whizzes by low level. And then right behind that were two U.S. Air Force F-16s in hot pursuit coming by just at tree level chasing this thing. This witness was a U.S. Air Force veteran, so she was able to identify the type of aircraft, which, U.S. Air Force F-16s are very distinctive, but for most people, wouldn't know what at a glance like that, especially something whizzing over at hundreds of miles an hour, whether that's an F-15 or an F-35 or what. She was positive. She was adamant that these were F-16s, and they flew by. This group of people that were standing in the road, in the middle of the road, were all had some sort of effect that they were experiencing. I believe the truck driver, his ears were bleeding. One of the people sat down on the road and just had like an uncontrollable, emotional response, just shaking and crying. And this really affected these people. And then out of the blue, everybody's car started back up, and I forgot to mention everybody's cell phones turned off, and then they turned back on their own. And even the diesel truck started back up. So it was really weird that, like I said, that we always think in terms of electromagnetic disturbances that kind of do have those electrical effects, but with the diesel trucks, that doesn't even come into play. So
yeah, the car's coming back on. Like what is that? What, you know what I mean? Because that takes an electrical impulse. That takes the turning of the pressing of the button.
Yeah, and I always I think back to these cases with these physicists that Lakatsky and Hal Puthoff, and they always talk about the physics of how these craft might work. Is they have the kind of a bubble around them that warps time and space, and I can't help but think, man, is there a time dilation thing going on here? Is that kind of what it is? Nobody knows, but it certainly is interesting and odd, and there's really no explanation for it.
Yeah, the other thing that really is significant, especially in a lot of contact cases, this same effect has additional factors, whether we call it psychological, we call it an altered state, we call it missing time, we call it whatever, and that bubble seems to extend. And then when we do follow-up, right, because we've all done follow-up, if we are in continuous contact or we were able to contact other witnesses, it seems the residual effects, or what do you remember? Do you have any things that you recall, either sleep or not sleep or dreams, and it's amazing how just that, if you will, quick contact can produce a lot of these associated things that we're learning that contact, even that type of contact, can create. So I don't know, was there any of that ever talked about, psychological, not only mental, spiritual, however you wanted to call it, effects besides any kind of physical?
Yeah. So let's see, David Toon, myself, and one of our field investigators, Becky Villar, we all kind of converged on this site the next day. And we met with the witness. She was still really visibly shaken. I mean, she was like it had just happened, and it had been more than 24 hours when we got up there. We took her out to the site, which was really hard to find. I don't think we ever pinned down exactly where it was. We kind of had an idea. Our goal was really to look for the physical evidence. We wanted to find that tree.
I was going to say, did you get the tree top?
We looked for that thing until the sun went down, and we never found. I don't know if somebody came behind us and picked it up. Then went back. Of all of those witnesses, and all of the traumatic effects that they experienced, she was the only one that reported. I kept waiting and waiting for one of the other people to report. So if anybody out there hears this and you were there, please contact us.
You were driving the truck.
What was the date and time again, the location?
So this is December 9th, 2023, 12:45 p.m. in the afternoon, Umatilla, Florida, which actually Ocala. It's the Ocala National Forest, Highway 19, that runs right through the middle of it, north and south. And there is a naval bomb range there called I can't believe I forgot this. It's Pine something naval bomb range is right there in the middle of it, and it was pretty close by to where that naval bomb range is. So, and I'll get back to that here in just a second too. I wanted to go over. David did a full magnetic survey of the car and found that there was a really strange magnetic anomaly with it, where half the car was polarized. So you get a lot higher readings on the microteslas on one side, which was the passenger side, versus the driver's side. So
is it
everything
Pine Castle?
Pine Castle, that's it. Yeah. Thank you very much, CJ. So I thought that was really, really interesting too. And then in my research, I found, which I'm trying to track down this witness. This is from, I don't have their name, but this is from 1995, and it was just a short write-up that I found that took place right there near the Pine Castle bomb range, 1994 November. It was these two witnesses that they were just out there watching on the outside of the fence, watching these, the bombs drop on they drop duds and stuff out there. Fun to go out and watch and listen. But this was November 1994. And while they were out there, a big black triangle flew right over their head. It was so low that they were able to flash it with their flashlight and light up the bottom of it. So I don't have a whole lot of information on that, but I'm definitely going to try to track down that and maybe because that's a really weird area up there.
That's close.
That's sort of representative of it too. So just to give people another look at all that, just to give them a chance about that time. Way cool.
Yeah, if you know truckers, shoot this link out to all the truckers absolutely. Because someone out there was driving through Florida, and they move all over the country, just because they were down in Florida, they could be in Arizona now or anywhere. Yeah. So if you know truckers, please share this podcast with them, and maybe we can find somebody.
And David Toon, the investigator, he did write an article that made it into the MUFON Journal. That's April 2024. If you want to see, it was like a 3 or 4 page write up in the MUFON Journal. So,
and it sounds like they were experiencing shock like immediately. I mean, sitting there on the ground, that's like after a car accident when you're sitting on the curb crying because you just can't process what happened. So they're immediately feeling some sort of shock or going through some kind of shock. And the emotional effects afterwards, have you stayed in contact with these people? Have you asked them how they're feeling?
David, like I said, I was assisting the case. I was assistant state director at the time, and I was just Becky and I were just assisting David with his investigation. But I would imagine that David probably reached back out to this witness. So I'll have to ask him.
One of the things sometimes we go down rabbit holes, but just for a second. So the OSAP program, one of the biggest things, Hunt for the Skinwalker, and this follow-up books that were done by Lakatsky and Colin Kelleher and George Knapp was the fact that their biological medical study reports were so significant because of all the effects that those people, mostly military and a number of MUFON cases too, by the way, but they were related. And so this to me has been one of my special interests because people don't recognize sometimes the effects that they go through being exposed to these things. And sometimes, I didn't feel anything, I didn't think anything or whatever. But then when you start talking to them or a day or two later, I felt dizzy or I felt tired, my car or whatever, or I had a dream, or it's just so interesting because it's such another unknown aspect of the phenomenon. So that's the reason too why I asked about any follow-up too about that. So anyway, way cool.
Yeah, it's so interesting. I know, Dr. Gary Nolan out at Stanford has looked into a lot of this. We just had Roger Stankovic on with us for one of our member meetings talking about the Havana syndrome like symptoms with experiencers. I think maybe CJ even experienced some of that or something.
I don't know. I don't know what happened. I mean, all I can say is I got very sick 2 hours afterwards, like sick enough that I was in the actual emergency room at Bob Hope
Well,
And
Kathleen Martin put her hands on her head like this
Yeah.
because
To cover her
she's
ears.
worried about it.
Yeah.
I didn't think anything of it. I had my headphones on. I'm listening, and he's playing the sounds, and I'm like, "Oh, this is cool. This sounds like
I almost
crickets."
put my hands on my head because Kathleen was, because I thought, well, she's going to know what to do.
I mean,
But
I'm
I thought,
sure
no, I won't.
it could have
So
just been
again,
a
so
coincidence.
our audience would understand.
Yeah.
Give us.
Okay.
Frame that for us.
So we had
I'm being
Dr.
outed. Go ahead.
So
go ahead.
I'm sorry.
No, go ahead. Go ahead.
So we had Dr. Roger Stankovic on one of our member meetings doing Zoom. He was in Australia, like 14 hours, difference. And so we were lucky enough that he got up at the crack of dawn, and it's like at night for us. And he did his presentation on Havana syndrome symptoms within the experiencer field. And he went into depth about all of the State Department personnel at the, these different embassies around the world, and, Havana and Vietnam, and I believe in Moscow even. And apparently one of these diplomats had recorded the noise that they heard when they were experiencing these symptoms. And so the recording of the noise, not the actual, whether it's a directed energy thing or what, this was just a recording of the noise. And he played it because for whatever reason, it's very similar to this indigenous cricket that lives in Cuba. And so it just sounds like these crickets chirping, like high-pitched chirping, but it almost identically matches these crickets down in Cuba. And so he played a real short clip of this.
And he went, but also in fairness, he went back and forth a few times. He was like, crickets, Havana, crickets, Havana, crickets, Havana. And I was like, oh, this is beautiful.
And so, and then like there were other members in the audience that were like, they were visibly affected. We were on a Zoom call, so we could see people, Kathy Martin was
covering her ears, which I didn't see.
Ears.
Rusty told me later, and 2 hours later, I said to my husband, hey, I'm going to go to bed. I have like a headache and it's terrible. I don't understand what's going on here because I don't get I'm not a migraine sufferer. This is not my situation. So he's like, great, go to bed. And I am a go to bed early gal. Like I love laying in bed at 7 p.m. and falling asleep by 8 and, like getting up at 4 a.m. That is my normal MO. So that's not unusual. But I said, I just feel terrible. And I did not in any way associate it to the lecture that I had been to. And then I remember waking up to go to the restroom at like 3 a.m. and thinking, damn it, why is my head still hurt? I don't understand this. And then waking up in the morning to get my son ready for school and going, God, my head is killing me. I don't understand what's happening. And I took my temperature. And the other thing was I had a fever, which I don't believe that's a part of Havana syndrome. And I'm not kidding, Richard. I don't think I discussed this with you and then remember, I was sick. We talked about it in the podcast and I couldn't record. We had to postpone it.
Right. We postponed this. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. I couldn't get into the details of it because honestly, it took me about 4 days. So I end up in the emergency room. I go to urgent care on Sunday after the Thursday, and they say, we don't know. We're going to give you a shot of a steroid and we're going to give you an anti-inflammatory. We don't know what's going on with you. And then I had an appointment to see another doctor regarding some swelling in my knee already. So I went to see her and she said, I can't treat you till you go to an emergency room and find out why you've had a headache now for 5 days. I mean, solid. They were giving me migraine pills that did nothing. And I was just crying to my husband saying, I can't live like this. Like, what's going on? Like, if this is my new state, I can't live like this. Like, I am in misery and I am a tough broad. Nothing brings me down. Like, I get stuff done. And so I went to the emergency room and they did everything, the CT scan, they ran everything. They said, everything's normal. Just go see a neurologist. You're probably having a migraine. And I said, well, why is it? First of all, I don't have them. I'm 55 years old. Why would this suddenly set on? And why do I have a fever? What's going on? I have some swelling in the joints. They said, we don't know. And it's like doctors. They're just like, we don't know. Just go see you don't have cancer. Your brain looks normal. Like go. And it was about 2 weeks and it was about a month before I felt myself. So I could have just gotten a strange virus. I do get mosquito bites. My friend who's a doctor said, maybe you got West Nile virus. Those sound similar to West Nile, but it literally set on 2 hours after that guy played the recording. And it wasn't until I got home from the emergency room, which was like Monday or Tuesday, that I thought, what did I do Thursday? Did I eat something? Did I do something? And I thought, oh my God, I went to that stupid Florida meeting where they played that thing.
And that's when you called me.
Yeah, and that's when I reached out to Rusty, and I was like, I just like, did anyone else in that meeting feel weird afterwards? And she said, I haven't heard anything. I don't know. So honestly, I don't know. I didn't even mean to discuss this right now, but I really don't know. And it was a month before I felt I'm finally back to myself. It was a while. I don't know. I don't know what it was. I couldn't tell you.
I'm glad you're feeling better now. I felt really, really bad when I heard that you were, not feeling good after that.
Rusty too, and I was like, I don't want you to feel bad. I just was wondering, like, did anyone else feel bad? And the fever, to me, like, I don't believe a fever is a part of Havana syndrome, but it is just another one of those weird, unexplainable things that I went to 3 doctors. No one could figure out what was wrong with me. I tested negative for everything. All my blood work came back normal. I really don't know what it was, but I'm definitely never going to listen to the sounds of Havana syndrome ever again, just in case. Like, I don't know what it was. Like, I'm not a conspiracy theory person. I couldn't tell you what's going on. But I was the sickest I've ever, like I said to my husband, I'm going to call this a health crisis. I've never used that phrase in my life, but I said, I am experiencing a health crisis. I cannot function. I was laying in bed in the dark all day long crying. I couldn't watch TV. I couldn't do anything. He was taking the kid to school. Like, I've never experienced this in my life. Never. And I don't know what it was.
The funny thing about this, and we're going to get back to what we were talking about. Again, when you talk, especially for those of us who are on the experiencer resource team, a lot of these similar behaviors and effects occur to them and to what they go through and what they're exposed, especially if there's missing time and some other trauma. So it's just an interesting aspect. Again, I know, Matt, we want to get back to what you were talking about. So
yeah. But one thing I wanted to add during that presentation, when Roger clicked and to play that sound, I didn't hear it. It was, I honestly thought, oh, Roger's file is messed up because there's nothing coming out. So he's trying to play this, this cricket sound from this directed energy beam or whatever it was, and it's not playing. But then I noticed everybody putting their, and it's like, why can't I hear that on my end? I'm hearing everything else. It was like, I thought I did not hear anything. And I do have some hearing loss from all that time.
It was loud though, Matt. You would have heard it. It wasn't quiet.
It was loud.
It was not quiet. It was very, like, I remember thinking, oh, this is beautiful. Like I was.
It was loud. My dog got off the couch and came walking in here and was spinning around looking, like, seeing what the noise was.
Yeah.
wow.
Yeah, that was weird. I went back and looked at the recording, and I could hear it on the recording, but live didn't. It was like just dead air. Really weird.
Very bizarre.
All right. Let's
carry on as you were. Sorry.
All right. So this next one is case number 138123, and this took place in the Atlantic Ocean, a couple of 100 miles off of the east coast of Florida. Not sure the date. It was the first week of July 1971, and it happened at 2:00 in the morning. So the reporting source is this for this case. This is a U.S. Navy radarman. He was in the Navy in 1971. He was stationed aboard this Knox class frigate called the USS W.S. Sims, DD 1059. There's a picture of the actual ship at around the same time that this event happened. That was stationed homeported in Mayport, Florida, up near Jacksonville, and they were out in an area off the Florida's east coast doing some workups with a diesel electric submarine between Florida and the Bahamas, that area. So like I said, he couldn't pin down the exact night, but first week of July, July 1st, 2nd, somewhere around there. So he was on the mid-watch, the midnight to 4 a.m. watch up on the bridge. He was actually in the radar room behind the bridge. And what they were doing was they had this diesel electric naval submarine, and they had just installed a new, it was called the SQS-26 sonar. So this brand new state-of-the-art sonar, and they were using the diesel-electric submarine as a test bed. So the diesel-electric submarine would dive, and then they would track it with the sonar. And then the way diesel-electric works is they're underwater, they're on batteries, but then the batteries die, so they have to go to the surface to recharge. So the submarine was surfaced. It was about a mile to the east of the WS Sims. And this radarman, he picked up these 3 blips on the radar screen. The radar that they were using was an AN SPS-10, which I'm sure there's a lot of naval officers and crew that know exactly what that is. And he started tracking these 3 radar blips that were 50 miles out. That was the extent of the radar screen. Moving toward the ship, and these were like in 3 blips in a triangle formation, moving in unison. They traveled 50 miles in 60 to 90 seconds, and if you do the math on that, it works out to about 2,000 to 3,000 miles per hour. 1971. There was not, we didn't have anything that would, we did have things that would go that fast, the SR-71, and there's some other planes that could go that fast. Nothing that could go that fast and stop on a dime. And that's exactly what these lights did. They traveled 50 miles in 60 to 90 seconds and parked themselves right over the top of this ship. They spent about, I guess, 3 minutes over top of the destroyer, and then they shifted over, hovered over top of the submarine for another 30 seconds, and then shot off to the north at high speed. And this gentleman had been holding on to this story for his entire life, and just decided that now was the time to come forward with it and get this case documented. So I started doing some research to figure out, I wonder if there are any other cases like this. I went to the National Archives to see if I could find the deck logs for this ship. And then in my research, I found, there is another case. It wasn't a MUFON case. This is a Newfork case. It's Newfork case number 13385. And this happened July 2nd, 1971, same exact area. This was the USS John F. Kennedy aircraft carrier, CVA-67. They were home ported out of Norfolk, Virginia, and they had just finished up with some workups off the Florida coast. They were heading back to Norfolk in a few days. They, like 2 o'clock in the morning, same kind of situation. They had this time, instead of 3 radar blips, it was a gigantic orange sphere that appeared about 100 feet over the flight deck. It shut down all the electrical systems on the ship. There were 2 F-4 Phantom fighter jets that were standing the combat air patrol alert. So basically they're always running, ready to launch at a moment's notice. They just need the word to launch. But the 2 ready F-4s, they both shut off. And it was just chaos aboard the ship. They went to general quarters. And it stayed that way for about 20 minutes or so, and then this big ball of light dissipated. So, and things went back to normal. Then the reporting source for that, he gave his name on the Newfork case. His name is Jim Kopf, Kopf. And I've actually seen that since I discovered that. I've seen that pop up a few other places too. But one thing that he wrote that I thought was really interesting, he said that after the event, they had the men in trench coats, the men in black that visited the ship, interviewed everybody. And he said that after that was done, the commanding officer, a few days before they pulled into port in Norfolk a few days later, and I'll read the statement that the commanding officer said to the whole ship's crew over the 1MC, which is the intercom system. He said, this is from the captain. He said, "I would like to remind the crew that certain events that take place aboard a naval combat ship are classified and are not to be discussed with anyone without a need to know." So that was it. And so that was squashed until, I guess, fairly recently when one of these gentlemen came out and made a Newfork report. So I went to the National Archives to try to find the deck logs for that as well. And what I found was there's lots of naval deck logs that are available before that time frame, after that time frame, but for whatever reason, July 1971 is very, very sparse. No deck logs for either the W.S. Sims or the USS John F. Kennedy. I asked the Naval Archive or the National Archives. We were emailing back and forth. I said, "What in the world? Do these records exist?" And the answer that I got back was, yes, they exist. However, they are in the process of being digitized for the Veterans Administration to handle asbestos claims. Well, when are they going to be back online? Indefinite. We'll probably never see them. So somewhere there's some deck logs for these ships that experienced this stuff, and hopefully that stuff will come out one
we've
day.
had a few down in San Diego of that orange light, which, that's the chariots of the gods. That's what they described in ancient times as that orange amber light in the sky. And Mike Rizzo, one of our field investigators, you may be familiar, he has a case with that orange light being chased by a jet fighter, and he's got video of it. So I would say definitely talk to Mike because it's in our database. And I also had one. He and I both got cases from different people at roughly the same time, a few miles apart, of the orange glowing light moving across the sky in San Diego, which is, again, another big military location, and that's where I grew up. So after we get off with this, if you guys want, we can try to exchange some information and look at some of my
absolutely
cases, because he's got a great video of a helicopter chasing one, or not a helicopter, I believe maybe it is a helicopter, it might be a helicopter, or I don't remember, but it's being chased by a military aircraft, let's say that. So I'm not
awesome.
Yeah,
I just like the corroboration evidence that you guys got. To me, sometimes that's the best evidence. The captain saying this, another guy saying that, the logs all of a sudden bringing up so because of the investigations that, MUFON and other groups do, but the corroboration to me is just amazing, because it's like a puzzle, right? You fit one piece and another piece, and then all of a sudden you're able to see a larger picture, and the corroboration are key elements. And that's what we try to do with our work. I mean, we try to corroborate as much as we can with as much information. And so we just don't say, hey, they're credible, it's a picture, believe them or not. It's more science, fact-based than people.
We're interested in evidence, right? We're not just into, it's not Scooby-Doo.
No.
We're not telling ghost stories at a slumber party. I mean, that's fun too. I enjoy a ghost story at a slumber party, but we're looking for evidence, Yeah,
we all like the spooky stuff, but we also like what the evidence shares. So again, great case.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Fantastic. Is that your last case for the?
I think I have run out of cases for the night.
No, that's great. That's great. I have a little question for each of you. Is what have you guys personally seen? Do you have I'm sure Rusty has one, but I don't know you, Matt and Phil, as well. Could each of you share something that you've seen that might be anomalous or unexplainable, if you have one?
Well, I'll go first, and that's something I always share with these witnesses is I've never seen anything out of the unusual. I'm very, envious of all these people that see these things. So I approach it that way, a very open mind, but I've never had an experience of something that I can't identify within the air. So I'm not in that category.
You are like my husband, and he calls himself a UFO muggle. Which, if you know Harry Potter, it's a Harry Potter reference. So I'd put you with my husband in the UFO muggle category.
I've always followed the field and been very knowledgeable of it. I never went to look for stuff.
Stephen Bassett never seen anything in his life, and he's like a lobbyist. No one fights harder for the cause than him. Never seen a thing.
Yeah. But, this is the point, and this is a great point for those of you out there listening. You don't necessarily, albeit it's a good thing if you can and you experience, but those of us, and I'm like you, Phil, those of us who may not necessarily ever or had some experiences, we've used other sources to validate for us. History, pictures, NASA, ancient civilizations, ancient technologies, ancient writings. There's many, many other ways that we've been able to show that this whole idea about advanced or future or high technology or high strangeness or spookiness in our not only our planet, our end of the galaxy, but others, which have further, for those of us who are science-based, made us in this probability of high probability, and that's how we go, right? It's you're never 100% sure, because unless it's standing right next to you, and there is some people who are 100% sure, I'm sure. But for those of us who are almost there, it's because we believe, because we've looked and
seen the evidence.
The empirical evidence says it's resonated with us. And that's a very, very important key point. So Phil, I'm there with you.
I think you guys are, like, to me, you guys are unicorns. Like, to me, I like when I met Stephen Bassett and asked him to tell me what he had seen and he said nothing, I was like, what? Why are you doing all this work? What are you doing?
Because I want to know.
Anyway.
Yeah. Well, I'll tell you about my sightings.
Very cool.
I'll tell you one, and I'll be quick about it because I have several, but a big one in Illinois when I lived there. I was going to bed. Everybody was already asleep in the house, and I was on a second story with the window open. It was fall, and I could lay in my bed and look out the window. Well, to the west of me, this orange spear was coming, but it was moving kind of slow along the tree line, and it was probably a mile from me. And as it got closer, my eyes started to water. It got brighter and brighter. And I whacked my husband and said, get up out of bed now and come over to the window. And I jumped out of bed. I'm crouching and looking. He comes over, the thing disappears. He couldn't see it. And he got real mad that I woke him up. So I said, just go to bed then. He went back to bed and I stayed there. And I had to grab a tissue to wipe my eyes. It came right back on. And by this time, it was close to being right across the street from us. And it was over my neighbor's house along a tree line that there was a creek behind her house with a tree line. It was above that. And then it's just going real slow. And I'm just watching this thing. And my eyes were like watering all the way down to my chin. Tears were coming out. And then all of a sudden it shot across the sky. It did not disappear. It shot across. All right. So that was one sighting. Then I moved here and, my friends and I went to Lake Wales and we went glamping at the Lake Wales Dude Ranch or something like that. Westgate Dude Ranch. We hired a guide to take us out on this hog cart in the middle of the swamp. And so we're up high and there's 4 people on the hog thing. And I look up because I'm always looking up, and I saw, this was 2019, by the way, I saw something that looked exactly like the Tic Tac that they saw, and it was all over the news with the little split in the middle and everything. But at that time, I didn't call it a Tic Tac, but it was a cylinder. And that was just floating above us. And I said to the guy, stop the cart now. And he stopped, and I told everybody to look up, and we were all looking up, and we all saw it. And all of a sudden, 2 F-16s came flying near it. And then it shot up straight into the sky, and it was gone. Okay. And so I reported to MUFON, though, a year later because I didn't know about MUFON at the time. All right. So then the next year was 2020. And this was also a daytime sighting. I had gotten a dog, the COVID dog, right? And I go in the backyard to take him out. I've got him on a leash because I've got a customer coming to my house in like 15 minutes. And I'm outside with him and I'm sitting there with the leash. Hurry up, hurry up. And then I look up and right at the next house, my neighbors, there's a power line and there was another sphere and it was giant. And I'm looking at this thing and it wasn't orange. It looked like the moon. And I actually thought it was like the harvest moon. You know, in the daytime, you can see the moon sometimes. But I got to thinking, what the heck is a moon doing that low in the sky? It was real low. And I put my fist up like that so that I could see. And it was still larger than my fist. And it had craters on it and everything. So I really did think it was the moon. I ran to my garage to grab binoculars. But then when I turned to run to the garage, I look up and the moon was to the east. So I was like, okay, that's not it. I had my phone with me. I started taking pictures and what happened? It just started dissipating. But you can, on the picture, you can see like part of the cloud is a perfect circle with fuzzy edges. This thing also had an aura too, like a plasma aura around it. My hair was stinging up on my arms. I felt an energizing, but I thought it was because I was scared. So that's when I started.
I mean, that sounds like the miracle of Fatima when they had a second sun in the sky, is what it sounds like.
Well, I started typing in how to report a UFO thing because the shit was getting real. Excuse my language. I kept having these sightings, weird stuff.
I prefer people who curse always.
Yeah. So I reported it to MUFON, and then they told me, you know what they thought it was, and whatever. I saw what I saw, and it was just really freaky. And that's when I really said, you know what, I'm joining MUFON. I talked to the guy who was on my case. I said, I'm thinking about joining because I really feel like I want to know what I saw and what I'm seeing, and maybe I can help other people and let people know what I saw too, and then learn from it. And that's what I did.
Wow.
So
that's
awesome,
great.
Rusty.
Yeah.
That was great. Matt, have you seen anything, or are you a unicorn muggle?
No. I've had multiple sightings, but I'll talk about my favorite one. It was the first one I saw, and that was when I was 19 years old. I lived in Virginia with my parents. We lived on this near this lake called Smith Mountain Lake. They had a piece of property on it, and the house was up on a hill overlooking this lake. And it was one fall evening after the sun went down. My father, who's passed away in 93. So this would have been 1987 when this occurred. My father and I were standing out on the back deck, and we saw this brilliant bright light that was kind of in over the trees up in the end of the cove where we lived. And this bright light would like dip down and then it would pop up in another area. And we sat there, watched it for a few minutes. We got the binoculars out, looked at it up close, just brilliant. I mean, the brightest white I think I've ever seen. And at the time, the Virginia State Police were doing a lot of marijuana eradication flights, and we just chalked it off to, it must be the Virginia State Police, doing that. So fast forward a few years, I joined the Coast Guard. I spent a career flying on helicopters. And I realized at some point, hey, helicopters are loud. I mean, I've got significant hearing loss from being around them for 30 years. That wasn't a helicopter that me and my dad saw. So what was it? Because it
they
was
shake the house.
else.
The Osprey that flies along the 170, the whole house shakes. So you're right.
That was my favorite one.
All right. That's okay. We're wrapping things up here. Thank you so much, Matt and Phil and Rusty, for joining us from Florida. You can reach out to them at Florida MUFON. No, thank you guys. Those were great. And I loved hearing your own personal stories as well. So thank you so much. And we're just going to go ahead and wrap things out. I know we only have like a couple of minutes left. I would just say I'm going to give one quick plug. We mentioned him, Mike Rizzo. He's with SoCal MUFON. He's got a great podcast called the Universal Disclosure Podcast on YouTube. You can find it. And I just watched last night, laying in bed, a great interview with Debbie Jordan Kabul, who is a classic case of abduction, one of Bud Hopkins' cases. And he had a really fascinating interview with her. And thank you so much. And I'll just turn it over to Richard so you can close us out, Richard.
Just a final thought, guys, because we just like to leave people with the final thought. If you are depressed, you're living in the past, guys. If you're anxious, you're living in the future. If you're at peace, you're living in the present. And that's where we all should be living. Thanks a lot, guys. We really appreciate it.
Thank you, CJ. Thank you, Richard.
Thanks, guys. Thanks, Phil Skywatcher, our favorite producer at KGRA.